Season 6 brings 2 new weapons. We get the LSW, which is a pretty fun gun to use, and we'll talk a little bit about a build, and the DTIR 3006. And this one is a very good and definitely in the meta conversation, especially since the nerf to the SCG didn't actually fully go through. Is going to be good competition for meta where you can kind of pick and choose, and we'll go through that. We tested both of the guns out on stream. If you want to go ahead and check out the full VOD of kind of what that looks like, link near the top of the description. But pretty much the short of it is that there are some interesting things that were added with these individual guns. Primarily the insane mobility you get with this brand new cast of LSW. Even though it doesn't have the fastest TTK up close, it still allows you to get that really fast movement up close. So even though you're not killing as fast, you're going to be dodging bullets. So it can be a lot of fun, especially in close quarters, moving with the LMG 100 round mag. So you can kind of see my general notes on each of these guns, where the individual damage drop-offs at the furthest range. This gun will probably be somewhere between 763 TTK up to 890 in the mix there. I think it'll be more likely you get 890, but those times that you do get more headshots in the mix, you can actually lower that TTK, or if you're not getting too many limb or stomach shots, you will get the faster TTK. It does have a little bit of a slower fire rate at 472. The mag size is only 40 bullets, so it's not the biggest mag, as you can see there. It does already start with high velocity, and this is a trend they started with the STG. When that gun first came out, I thought that that would be kind of like what their direction was going forward with new guns, starting with higher bullet velocity, and that's what they've done in this particular case. This gun starts at around 900 bullet velocity, muzzle velocity right off the bat. Super low recoil. Part of that has to do with the slow fire rate. It feels a lot like the bar from Vanguard or some other guns we had during World War II. Obviously Sledgehammer. So it does feel like that with not much visual shake. One big problem with the gun is it does have a lot of visual smoke. But if you manage to use one of the tracer bundles, so one is in part of the black cell, it will remove that part of it. You'll still have tracers, which are kind of annoying, but it gets rid of all that visual smoke. So hopefully they figure that part out, because it is pretty bad. Solid TTK, like I mentioned, 736 to 890. That's probably what you're going to get at the furthest range. And it's not incredibly broken up close, but it does kind of hold its own. But generally, as we've seen before, slower rate of fire guns don't fare as well up close, but good thing it is a long range weapon. With the cast off LSW, we get a fast reload, super fast. Insane tac stance build where you're able to get that spread really tight, focus on more of a hip fire tac stance, and move around with this new attachment that's an underbarrel. It only works on a handful of LMGs. Too much recoil in general, in my opinion, which we'll take a look at if you want to use it as a long range build. Since its TTK is still within the realm of viable, it just has way too much recoil. And the close TTK is probably where you want to use it, but it's not particularly broken at 750 TTK. But it has a decent fire rate at 800. So end of day, I think this is just a fun gimmick gun, which is fine. It doesn't kill fast enough to probably be broken, but it's fun enough that it's probably going to be used. So it's kind of one of those trade-offs where if you just want to mix it up, you can do it without probably even having to worry that it's going to get nerfed, even though the movement in the tac stance is pretty insane. Even though we did test the new guns on stream, we ended up referencing the rest of the changes on True Game Data's site, which you can see linked here on the spreadsheet. You can kind of see where these things individually rank. Because like I said, with the long range weapon, it is very much in the mix. I think it is right up here. It's right there next to the SCG. Until the SCG's nerf actually goes through, this may change. But generally not much change on that end. I need a little bit more time with the short range meta, which we'll get into. But you can see the D tier would be somewhere around here. Probably the highest probability, but 760 is also pretty common. It's like a trade-off. So it'd be very fast, and especially within that 50-meter drop-off where it is, and even further when you equip certain attachments for range. Again, this is linked in the description. So after I leveled them up, I got a chance to kind of use them in the new Purgatory mode, which is like a 2-hour plunder, basically. That's kind of what it is. There's some challenges you can do to unlock some cool camos. Like you can see here, we've already completed that. So it's great to be able to do that if you want a good universal camo that can apply to all of your weapons. But while I was playing the mode, I was able to get some gameplay with it. You can see kind of some of the ranges where it's going to excel. And I think for the most part, this gun fits right into the long range meta. The D tier is going to fit into the S tier meta. I know it sounds kind of weird. I don't know what the heck to call this gun. And then the other one, which is the cast off, I think, like I said, it'll just be one of those fun gimmicky guns where you can see it does have a very tight tac stance spread, but it's not deleting people instantly. Maybe catch someone off guard. Some of these people may not have all full 3 plates, so it can be making it feel a little bit better, but that's kind of where it fits in. So if you were to pick one of the 2 guns that you wanted to focus on because you're kind of moving through the battle pass a certain way, I would focus on the battle rifle. So now we can go ahead and get into the actual loadouts. I have the 2 kind of built out here. We can go ahead and kind of look at this one for the cast off LSW. You could probably mess around with a bunch of different attachments, but the goal overall is to kind of take advantage of this particular attachment, which you can see the ADS movement speed is kind of insane. 83% improvement there, which is a huge difference. That'll speed you up quite a bit and allow you to take advantage of the gunfights. And when we go ahead and go in here, it doesn't initially seem that crazy. This is ADS right here. You can see un-ADS to ADS. Then we'll go ahead and put in the tac stance. The tightness of that spread is still pretty good. I think this will be more lean towards keyboard and mouse just because of the way aim assist works in tac stance. But overall, pretty good there, and you can see how fast the reload is for an LMG. Pretty quick. And just a side note, like I mentioned earlier with the recoil being insane, I did want to show that part. Just kind of look what the gun does. It goes pretty wild with the bouncing side to side. This just isn't really practical or viable. Even with all kinds of min-max attachments, it's not going to solve this problem when there's other guns that kill just as fast or faster with infinitely less recoil. Try it at long range at your own risk. Then that brings us to this one here, which I think this is going to be the general build most people decide to go with. Maybe you change up the optic. I was just using the NIDAR because I was using it on Rebirth Island, but you might want to use the Choreo. And you can see kind of the muzzle velocity sits up here at over 1,000, which is great. Base 900. If you want to swap out the muzzle for even more bullet velocity, you can do that. Something like this. It will slow it down just a little bit. You can go Spitfire. Going to help with the recoil and bullet velocity, but the Quartermaster has been so awesome at this point, and we use the Rifleman stock. You could use other ones too, but that's kind of the one I've leaned towards. If you want to remove more gun kick, but any of these first 3 are probably what you could use, and you'd be perfectly fine. Overall, you can see the gun when we're over here. It definitely has some recoil, and you can see the visible shake with the muzzle smoke. But we'll get rid of that smoke. Like I said, there is a quote-unquote pay-to-win blueprint, whereas when we go in here, we can go to the haunting, and then just because this thing has tracers, even if we build out the exact same gun, we're going to end up with an issue where it still got rid of that muzzle flash. So even with the exact same build, you can see here, we're going to go in here and look at the difference in muzzle. Even though you do get that little bit of a splash from the tracers, it gets rid of a lot of that muzzle smoke. So those are kind of your 2 options if you want to get rid of that, but that's just kind of how it goes. Enjoy the weapons. We already updated the TTKs on the spreadsheet. Appreciate all the support. Thank you for watching as always. Have a great day.